Hello, Super Second Grade Squad, and welcome back to our weekly reading skills video. I'm Emily Scott, a second teacher here at HWS, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through some of the skills and the lessons that your student will be seeing this week in reading and language. So our main resource, just like last week, will be from the Ready Reading Workbook, Lesson 5, and this is called Describing Connections Between Steps. So for the past 2 weeks, we did work on making connections, but it was making connections in historical text, things in history, and then making connections in scientific text, so things that had to do with science, like seeds. This week, we're going to be moving on to making connections between steps in a process. So our big academic vocabulary words for this week are going to be things like steps in a process, order, putting things in the order they happen, and then some of our time order words like first, next, then, last. And I'll show you those in just a second. Learning target for this week is just looking at how steps in a process are connected and will help you understand what you read. And so basically, what we're trying to get kids to do is think about things in their life that they will see written in steps. So, some of the things that we might talk about are when you are cooking in your kitchen, you might have to follow a recipe, which is a list of steps in order for what you have to do first, next, then last. We also talked about maybe you build things with somebody in your family. You built a bookshelf or a birdhouse. You have to follow specific steps in order to come up with a finished product that works correctly. And so they'll be looking at pictures. For instance, this picture of a science experiment that was done and trying to put these in order. Right now, they're incorrectly ordered. So having the kids put them in order and write them in a graphic organizer or a chart. And one thing that your teacher is probably going to talk to your student about is the different ways that these steps could be shown. So one of them, they might be bulleted points, just the little black dots, and have the steps in the process with dots. They might have numbered lists, just step 1, step 2, step 3, or you might see them listed like this with the time order words first, next, last. If your teacher shares these worksheets with you on either Google Classroom or through Class Dojo, this is in the workbook. Page 67 is where this starts. And these are the big vocab words that they're going to see. Steps in a process, order. Now, that when they say order, they're probably going to hear the word either sequence, sequential, or chronological order. And then they'll put those things in order using time order words like first, next, then, and last. We are also going to be reading several informational passages. One of them is called Starting a Weather Wall, and you'll see some of the bulleted points. Another graphic organizer. Which way does the wind blow? You'll see both your ingredients or your materials that you will need will be in a bulleted list, and the steps you do will be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll do some questions, both writing questions and multiple choice. And then on Thursday, your teacher will either be doing an in-class experiment or sharing a video or a book that goes through the steps for how to make a rainbow. And basically what they're going to do on Friday is they're going to need to read a passage about how do you make a rainbow, and then talk about those steps, answer questions about the steps, what happens if I do things in this order or that order. What I really suggest this week doing is taking something simple, like maybe making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Help your child write out the steps for making the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Be really specific. First, you open the bread and take out 2 slices. Then you open the peanut butter and the jelly and go through every single step with them, and then actually follow the steps to see if they left anything out. What was left out that was important, that you can't make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich without this step that you didn't put in there. Then at the end of that, ask your child questions like, what should happen before you put the 2 pieces of bread together? Or maybe a question like, what would have happened if we had done step 3 before step 1? So just really asking your child to critically think about how putting those steps in order are so important. And then a final thing that your child will be talking about this week is a language skill. It's root words. So we've been talking last week about different prefixes. This week we'll be talking about root words and what happens if you add a suffix onto the end, specifically ing suffixes and ed suffixes. So talking with your child that a root word is the main part of a word that you cannot get rid of. So if you have the word happy and you add the prefix unto it, the root word is happy and you have the prefix un. You cannot